and welcome to the BCU Alumni podcast. I'm Bethan from BCU's Alumni team, and in each episode we welcome a different member of our alumni community back onto campus to chat all about what they've been up to since they graduated from BCU. Today we're joined by Libby Flenley. Libby graduated with a degree in social work in 2020, and she is now the founder of the Sex, Lies and Love project, which aims to empower children and young people through creative and engaging workshops. The project equips children with the knowledge and confidence to lead safer and healthier lives and explores the modern day influences impacting children and young people today, whilst also providing them with the tools to identify criminal and sexual exploitation, unhealthy relationships, violence and abuse. Libby gives those she works with an in-depth understanding of consent and the harmful effects of online material, including its influence on criminal and sexual violence, as well as body image and mental health, by designing and delivering age-appropriate relationship and sex education. In this episode, we'll be discussing Libby's career so far and what the Sex, Lies and Love project is all about. Libby, welcome to the BCU Alumni podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be back.
So you joined BCU back in 2017, but you'd had like a series of roles before then. So what inspired you to go to university and study social work?
Yeah, so I suppose my career started a long time before university. I started actually working in recruitment. I was absolutely rubbish at it. I was at Brindley Place in Birmingham. Yeah. Everyone was making money around me. I cried a lot. I had to wear suits and brush my hair. I don't like brushing my hair much. And I was like, this is not for me. And I think most normal people would probably go to the job centre and find another job. Yeah. But I left the UK and went to Paraguay and volunteered for a charity supporting young girls who'd been sexually exploited. It's something I'd always thought about doing as a child, but I just never really knew how to ever get there. And an opportunity came up that I saw through someone's church. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So I went there and volunteered. And then when I came back to the UK, it just kick-started me to carry on that path. And I started volunteering for a charity in Walsall. I can never say Walsall without sounding like I'm from over there. Again, working with children who've been sexually and criminally exploited. They took me on as a paid position quite quickly. And then spending a few years in there and kind of working with social workers and professionals, I just felt like I reached my level of understanding, and I wanted to kind of get a degree in this field and understand the laws and all this language that everyone else was saying I didn't quite understand when I was sat around these big tables of professionals. So I started a social work degree as a late learner, really, at 27.
So tell me what you were like as a BCU student then, and what were your like highlights of studying here as well?
I probably should have mentioned as well, I started when I was pregnant. So
oh wow.
Yeah, I was a young mum. I say young, I was 27. I feel like that's young. So it was a bit of a different experience for me, but I do think that a lot of people on the social work course were more of the, I'm going to say mature, doing this with my fingers, I don't know if you can see it, but your class is mature learners. There was a lot of young mums or people who've had children and were now kind of in their 40s and 50s. So it felt like a different kind of experience to your stereotypical, I suppose, like freshers in university. But I still met some amazing people. Everyone had different backgrounds that had kind of put them into that social work role, whether it's like lived experiences of abuse or social work, or but everyone was just in different fields. So
you were pregnant when you joined BCU then?
So I was pregnant on the open day, I remember that. And I think by the time I started, my little one was 6 months old.
Wow.
Which was crazy because I didn't actually initially get the points to get onto the course. And I was going to have to go to do like an access course. But I was like, I haven't got the time. I can't take the money cut to go on to an access course. So I actually turned up at one of the lecturer's offices, knocked on his office door, and I learned that there was a portfolio route you could take to get into university. So I did a portfolio of all of my casework that I've done volunteering and for my exploitation role with children. And I was like, look, I'm a new mum. I cannot afford to, go and do the access course. University obviously gives the financial support. It's the only way that I can do it. Here's all the work that I've done for like the last 3 years. And they looked at it, and then, I got a phone call to say you're on the course, which was really nice. So don't ever take no for an answer as a message.
So after graduating, you worked for street teams and Walsall Council. So can you tell me about those kind of like initial roles, like post-studies?
Yeah, so street teams was who I worked for as well prior to starting the degree. But when I came out of university, I worked for, in child protection social work for Walsall Council, Walsall local authority. I loved social work and being on the ground and knocking on people's doors and not quite knowing what's going on behind there. Like, I really love people facing and just sitting alongside families who just need that little bit of support. And obviously, child protection is not all about the children, it's that holistic support for families. I quite liked that I already had that exploitation angle that I think a lot of other social workers didn't necessarily have because of the work I'd done previously. But I always knew I wanted to go back into working specifically with children who've been exploited. So a role actually came up at street teams. They're like, we've had some fun doing, we'd love you to come back. So I did, but then now going back into this charity role, but with the social work degree and so much more experience from being on the ground, working around the clock. For those of you who know about social work, it never stops. It's late evenings, every day is a new day, it's unpredictable. You could be in a hospital one day, the police station the next, court the next day, you're knocking on random people's doors. We had COVID with all of that as well, which was a whole new challenge to social work because we were trying to see children in really creative ways who we were worried about abuse, and abuse obviously really heightened for families during lockdown. So that was like a whole new skills for everyone in social work, let alone new learners. So then, I went back into street teams, working in exploitation, and then, we might talk about it in a minute, but then I started to set up the Sex, Lies and Love project alongside of that.
Yeah, so on that, in January 2022, you founded the Sex, Lies and Love project. So what inspired you to set it up then?
So I'd say it started back when I volunteered in Paraguay. I've always had a vision to run workshops with children and young people. I just never quite knew how that was going to manifest. But over the last 10, 12 years, trying to think how long I've been doing this for now, I've seen how the internet, social media have really changed how children are experiencing harm, how they're being groomed. If we understand what grooming is, I think a lot of grooming for exploitation now happens online. Perpetrators, gangs, whether it's for sexual or criminal exploitation, don't have to work as hard as they used to. The internet's there, children are accessible, children are communicating with people without realising that they're not safe. So there was that element, but also I really started to see how what children were being exposed to online, explicit material, pornography in particular, the level of camera phones and sharing images or being threatened with sexual images and things like that. I really saw in my one-to-one work that there were young people who were experiencing sexual violence or criminal violence, but weren't identifying it as violence because what they'd seen in pornography or in a video had normalised and glamorised some of this stuff. So when I'm sat there alongside them saying, so how did you feel about that? And they're like, well, it was uncomfortable and I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't pleasurable, but I just thought that's how sex was because I've watched it in porn. Yeah. That was like, I need to do something about this. Yeah. So I set up the Sex, Lies and Love project with that view to do kind of awareness and prevention workshops about pornography mainly, how if you're using that as your sex education, it is not a healthy place to learn how to have sex. I suppose just very quickly, because if anyone's wondering, pornography is not how it started out. It's high levels of violence now, not much consent shown, mainly towards women, but obviously other gender as well. And young people are learning about how to treat people from that. Yeah. They're learning really harmful ideas about consent. This idea that, a young lad said in one of my workshops, if a girl says no, then she means yes. And I'm like, that's not consent. And he's like, no, but in the videos, and he's not wrong, in the porn videos, if a girl says no, it means keep trying. So that is why I set up the project to tackle, we'll give young people the tools to identify exploitation, particularly online and grooming, but also to identify what is healthy and unhealthy in terms of their ideas of sexual consent and the reality of pornography and the laws around image sharing as well.
So you take the project all over the UK?
Yeah.
Really? So what kind of opportunities has it brought your way? And what kind of organisations have you been able to work with as well?
This year has gone really, really exciting. I mean, considering when I started it, I thought I might just get like a consent workshop like one day in a school, So I kind of kept one foot in the charity I was working for, and I set up this alongside. And I thought that was going to happen parallel for a good 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Within 12 months, I was full-time Sex, Lies and Love projects, which I felt really sad to let go of the charity I'd invested in for years, but they were really good and supportive. They're like, no, you've got to go and do this. Yeah. So I started off in schools, various different types of schools, whether it's academies, private schools, boarding schools, or whether it's alternative provisions. I know the language around that changes. It's working with under 18s to tell them to not make a mistake that they don't realise they're making. So a lot of my young people were committing sexual violence, but they didn't mean to, if that makes sense, because they think it's normal from what they've seen in porn, or they don't know the laws. So we're taking that a lot into sports now. Cricket, I'm new to cricket myself, but in the summer we delivered to all the teams ahead of what's called the 100, if anyone's a cricket fan out of there. We're doing some more with cricket this year, so I'm loving the sports spaces. We're doing so much more now with parents and carers, whether that's through schools, host families in football, professionals training, conferences, which is crazy with this Brummie Husky accent, but I talk at conferences, NSPCC, the Children's Home Association. I'm trying to think, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's loads there.
Yeah, I won't bore everyone with all of them, but it's just been a snowball effect. And I do just, at the moment, I'm like, what am I doing in this building? It's just crazy, but I'm just loving it.
So can you tell me more about really then what you do as part of the project then, and how it is really helping children and young people then?
At the moment, I'm doing a bit of everything in terms of actually running the business. I'm doing business development, and I'm the accountant, and I'm delivering the workshops, and I'm like just everything. But in terms of my actual on the ground work, it is with young people, it's running workshops, and that will be tailored to everywhere. We're not rigid in how we deliver that, because not one group of children learns the same. And everybody's got different learning styles. So I'll make it age appropriate, because we do work with lots of different age groups. Some people might worry, oh my gosh, is she talking to pornography with year 7s? Yeah. And although actually the stats are saying you might have to start doing that very soon, I make it really interactive. I love gaining student voice. So I'll always try and have an activity at the start where I can gauge their exposure to these topics. So tell me, what are you seeing, saying and sharing online? Give them that space, and then when they write down all of the explicit stuff that I know they're going to say, I'm like, right, this is what we need to talk about. This is the laws around this stuff that you've written down. And just try and make it two-way, because the voice that I get from children, I can then take into my professionals training and parents training and say, I'm talking to you about this because this is my research, and try and bridge that gap, and into government spaces as well, because I think it gets a little bit lost. Professionals don't always know what children are experiencing online, because kids don't want to tell adults. Why would they? They don't want their phones taken off them. But we offer them that safe space to explore topics they might not have the chance to talk about anywhere else. They are being exposed to pornography. It's on social media. It's on apps for age 12 plus, which shouldn't be. It's on Snapchat. It's on TikTok. So I'm going to go in there and just allow them to, explore this stuff with me, so I can say, it's not healthy. It's not real. This is what it could be doing, desensitizing you, etc. Yeah,
I think it's really interesting actually when you talk about sex education, because although I had obviously my sex education at school many years ago, back then there was nothing about consent. It was very much just this is how you don't get pregnant.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's really interesting now that actually at least kids nowadays are actually able to have those conversations in a way that I wasn't able to when I was younger.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had this conversation yesterday because we did, like, as I've said, I've ended up doing weird things in weird spaces. The last 2 days we've been in a school, myself and a colleague of mine, and we've done a whole school consultation about the relationship of sex education curriculum.
Yeah.
So we've done focus groups with every year group just to make sure it's still relevant, etc. And I was saying to them yesterday, when I was at school, we didn't have external speakers coming in to talk about porn and sexting and online safety. Social media wasn't even a term. Like,
no,
I don't even think consent was barely spoken about. No. So it's moving really fast. And I think the government are trying to catch up, but it's moving quicker than for them. And I think because of the internet, what's relevant for what age group is actually becoming diluted.
Yeah.
So it's not as rigid that, right, in year 9, you're going to learn about sexual consent. Yeah. Right, in year 11, it's this. Actually, if they're all on the internet, the potential of being exposed to the same stuff anyway, which makes it difficult because you don't want to educate those ones who haven't seen stuff, but it's about trying to get that balance.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you just mentioned social media then. So what do you think are the kind of key modern day influences then impacting young people today, which differ from those of previous generations?
The words that always come to my mind around this topic are desensitisation and glamorisation. Mm-hmm. Whether that's for children being groomed into like criminal exploitation. I think there's a lot of glamorising of this stuff on social media platforms, which easily then brings children towards wanting to be part of certain, I know they don't want to call it gangs, but you know, they just don't have to work as hard. Well, actually, I do want all that money. I do want those designer items. Oh, this group are advertising, recording a music video on Saturday, a certain gang. I'm going to go there because I think I'm going to be in the music video. Little do they know, they might then be coerced into doing certain things for that group. Again, with sexual violence, it's being glamorised through porn. I've got more young people now, 16 to 18-year-olds mainly, who are saying, we expect sex to be rough, like we like it this way. And I think this is because of their overexposure to all of this explicit content that is actually starting to come into their brains, let's say from a really young age, because of algorithms, because of their feeds, because of what they're scrolling through. It's normalising a lot of stuff in the brain. And we always use this example. If you think, you know, like, I'm saying us as adults in the space, we're protected by like the watershed, or like Michael Jackson's Thriller music video was banned, right? Because it's too scary. I think you'd catch like Eurotrash on a Friday night, if anyone remembers that. That was like a rude program.
I can remember Eurotrash.
Yeah. But now, if I put up a picture of like Michael Jackson's Thriller, whatever, to kids, they'd be like, well, why was that banned?
Yeah.
But this is because they're becoming desensitized. And so what happens is the media has to push the boundaries and pornography, make stuff more explicit, more weird, more violent, more hardcore to get that wow factor, because everyone's brains needs that dopamine hit. And I'm just a little bit worried, like, where do we go from there? Because everything's already at the most extreme it could be.
So what impact do you see on the children and young people you work with then? Like after they've been in a workshop, I can imagine it's probably like really rewarding.
I think awareness. I think when you do that kind of journey about the history of explicit content to now, I think they're like, what? You had to go to Blockbuster to get a film? Like you couldn't just click on your smart TV. You're like, we actually we were ID'd, right, by somebody behind a desk. So I think the awareness is good. And I think when they realise that social media is such a new thing, they're like, what, you didn't have a phone with a camera on it at school? I'm like, no, selfie wasn't even a word. So that's good. But also I think the laws, like the simplicity of talking to them about certain content they're sharing could be them breaking the law, and we don't want them to. We don't want to criminalise them. But i.e. like nude, semi-nude images under 18. So many young people don't know the laws around that and could end up with a sexual offence or criminal record because they've got an image of somebody who's like 16 or 17 because the sexual consent age is 16. That's probably when the students listen the most intently, when you go, do you know the laws around image sharing? They're like, what? Excuse me? And they're like red-faced and a bit awkward. I'm like, I'm not going to check your phones, but this is the law.
Wow.
If you've got something in its possession, if you forward something on, if you're sharing something of a random teenager that you've never even met from another city because you think it's funny.
Yeah.
There's that language around bait out, we're baiting somebody out. This is illegal. You're distributing abuse imagery of other children. They're like, but they're a teenager, they're a child. You're like, yeah, because you're under 18. So I think that's when you realise that it's had an impact, because you can see that they're leaving thinking a bit differently and getting their phones out.
Okay, so how would you like to see the project grow in the future then? And have you got any kind of plans for it over the next few years?
I'm loving moving into sports spaces, definitely. But I don't want to lose touch in schools. So I do have other people that I'm kind of working with ad hoc. I would love to get them in full time. It's just, I'm new to running a business. So I think it's having that confidence to make that jump to commit to giving someone a salary, because I think there's somebody that I've got in mind, and she's just incredible and so creative. And I'd love for her to get out into schools. And I just think we need to create content that reaches more schools, in maybe focus on just the West Midlands, and then I can focus more in professional sports. I am at uni again at the moment. I probably didn't tell you that, doing a master's in sexual violence and domestic abuse. So I'm hoping when I finish that as well, that's just kind of brings more professionalism to the topic, and I can do more on that professional level that will filter down. And then just try and create some really good content for young people. I'd love a space for them online, where they can go after our sessions. Because at the moment it's just me, and then I feel like I leave and they're probably like, what now? What do we do now? I'm like, this is the NSPCC, this is CEOP, right? But I'd love a space that feels like an online community, where they could maybe do quizzes, like, is my relationship healthy? Am I being groomed? And a space where they can access different support, but that is longer term. So, I'm not sure. I didn't think I'd be like where I am today. So just enjoying every day. We have to enjoy it because created it. So I'm not going to be stressed anymore and moan when I'm up at 5 a.m. Just be really grateful for every new opportunity we have.
This is something we love doing every episode, which is a Birmingham quick fire round. So what is your favourite spot on the BCU campus?
Well, I was actually at the Edgbaston campus where I did my social work degree, which is a really nice place to be. I like it over there. I mean, it's been a few years, so I'm going to vouch for Edgbaston, being near the Botanical Gardens. Oh,
I love Botanical Gardens. Okay, would you rather go to Snobs or Pop World?
I was a Snobs girl. I also used to work at the Sunflower Lounge.
Oh,
I don't know if you know, opposite Snobs.
I used to love the Sunflower Lounge.
So, you start at the Sunflower Lounge, then you fall into Snobs. I did that for many years. That was the glory days.
Blues or Villa?
This is difficult because in my family, we're Liverpool, my dad's from Liverpool, and also I'm working, I'm not saying this to show off, maybe a little bit. I'm working with both Blues and Villa this week.
So how can you choose a favourite?
So I can't do that because they're both now, I can't do that.
Both now clients.
They've both got pros and cons.
I think it's okay to say, I'm Liverpool, so I think it's okay to say.
Are you? Yes. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, Broad Street or Digbeth?
Digbeth, 100%.
Okay, favourite Brummie landmark?
So there's a building, right? And I wish I had the name for it, because it's my favourite building. I should know what it's called. It's not far from here, the massive square one. It's got the big pillars and it's always boarded up. It's like a real old concrete cube, and you can see it when you're coming off. Was it like an old fire station? You can see it when you come in on the train, and it's got near the skate park and everything. And it stands alone as this beautiful big old cube with pillars, and I've never known what it was for. It's never been open since I've been alive.
Wow.
And I need to get the name for it, so if anyone knows, probably that. And I'm going to vouch for Moseley in terms of an area as well.
Okay, and then what is your best Brummie word?
It's got to be Bab.
It's a classic.
Bab, 100%. Or Gambol.
Oh yes, I like Gambol.
Gambol, but Bab has got to be it.
And final question then, if you could go back to your very first day here at BCU, what is the one piece of advice you would now give yourself?
That everything happens take your time. Everything will happen at the right times. And be more organised.
Be more organised, I like that.
I am not organised. But just to slow down.
Libby, thank you so much for coming on to the BCU Alumni podcast today.
Thank you.
It's been so inspiring and really powerful actually to learn more about your journey so far, and we can't wait to see you again very soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening. You can check out more episodes of the BCU Alumni podcast on our YouTube channel now. Thank you, and we'll see you again very soon.